Okay, now we're doing question 56, and please read that. And the question is then, what we have to do is find the open interval for R values such that this equation is satisfied for a voltage of 120 volts and an amperage of 5 plus or minus 0.1 amps. And so here's our inequality. We're going to have I minus I sub aught, but that's 5, is less than 0.1. And now we'll dispense with the absolute value bars by installing another inequality, the opposite of 0.1, which is negative 0.1 to the left of that. And we have in our I minus 5 is less than 0.1. Now let's add 5 to each interval, and if we add 5 to this interval, we'll get 4.9 less than I, which is less than 5.1. Now let's replace I with V over R. So 4.9 is less than, and our voltage is 120. 120 over R, which is less than 5.1. Now this reads 4.9 is less than 120 over R, and 120 over R is less than 4.9. So let's take that into account and write each one of those inequalities separately and solve for R, 120 over R. So now, if we multiply both sides by R and divide both sides by 4.9, we'll wind up with R is less than 120 over 4.9. Now notice I said divide both sides by 4.9, multiply both sides by R, and this is what we'll wind up with. If you're a little confused, try it out. You'll see what I mean. Now let's write the inequality 120, separate inequality over R, is less than 5.1. Now if we multiply both sides by R and divide both sides by 5.1, we'll have 120 over 5.1 is less than R. Now, we have R isolated, we can write another combined inequality, and that's going to be 120 over 5.1 is less than R, which is less than, going to this inequality, 120 over 4.9, and there's our open interval. So all the R values that are in this interval, open interval, will satisfy this equation right here when V is 120 volts and I is 5 plus or minus 0.1 amps. And we're done.